Let me send this message, get this message out, man. Hi, hello. Hope everyone is doing well. And I'm Mr. Drew. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Glowczewski Experience, episode 50. Yo, we halfway to 100, man. That's what's up. Heaven is the new hello. I believe this is part 8, something like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue to pick up where I left off yesterday. I was using Scarlet Red. So yeah, I'm gonna jump on the wings over here, and then render everything out on the arm, jump up to the head, and then jump onto the next color, and hopefully we get a decent amount done. So yeah, let me just pull up Twitch or the chat, so that way I don't miss out in case any of y'all wanna jump in and comment. There we go. Cool, man. Let me start this timer. Grab my marker. So yeah, we're using this joint. I'll just bump the table. Getting the shaky cam going. Apologize all y'all with the motion sickness. You know. And I don't think I need to pull up any references for this, but just in case I do, let me at least just get the folder up. So just in case I need to, you know, I can get to it. Oh, cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in. You know, I was just posting on Instagram, and I was like, you know, I got a couple hours to kill, because I'm in between. Let me lower this can. Let me get it flush with the table. I've been wondering if I need to zoom the camera out since I'm working on something bigger, because this works when I'm working on that small stuff. But maybe when I'm working on something big, you know, you may be interested in that. God damn, it's so loud. There we go. So yeah, I'm really feeling this new scheduling. It's only day 2 of testing out this new scheduling system that I have, but man, I've had a full day now that I could just focus the entire day on you know, on one major thing at a time. Between all the applications and interviews and what else did I have to do? Just shit like that. You know, just getting all the freelance gigs and all that other stuff on the side going. Like being able to focus on that all day and not having to worry about nothing else. And it was beautiful. So it's like I got all that done, and now I'm gonna jump back on. You know, I was doing all that on the laptop, but you know, I like to break up the laptop time so that way I'm not stressing it. I wonder if I can get. Yeah, see, I don't even feel comfortable. I'm gonna get the smaller marker to get these feathers. That's why I was kind of barely touching it in here. I guess I can get some of this in here. Yeah, see. Okay. I was just checking out the reference real quick. But yeah, I think I'm good to do this. You know, I was worried about like rendering it, and do I want to like mess with the lighting, give them like light them one way on one side of the face and light them another way on the other side. But I don't think it's set up for that. Plus, I don't think I need to do all that. Not for this one. You know, I was just thinking about after I finish this one, this is the third design. That's, you know, that's in the in the group of designs that I'm working on. I was like, damn, what's next? What else am I gonna work on? I know exactly what I'm gonna work on, man. You know, this series is based on a podcast that I listened to, and I listened to a ton of podcasts, and there was a ton of work I want to do for them. There was some podcasts that I actually did do some work for. Um, I made some sticker designs. It was gonna be a logo, but I guess he had already gotten a logo, so he didn't need one. But he took my design anyways. But if anybody familiar with Joey Diaz and the Church of What's Happening Now, I had back in, you know, years ago, when Lee was just getting his website going and things like that. And, you know, I think they put a call out to artists. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't really recall, but I know I probably just took the initiative to go and reach out to the man. And I drew up this dope design. And, you know, we're talking a good at least 5 years ago. And a pretty cool design. And I sent it over to him, and he took it, man. The man wanted, you know, and then he used it. You know, he used some of the assets that are on his webpage, and then he used it for some of the. All right, do I want to do this now? Because I'm gonna focus on the feather, so I could do the bottom half of the arm, like I can get up to his wrist. So yeah, let me do this like this here. But yeah, that was super cool of Lee Syatt to you know, like what I designed for him enough to actually use it. You know, so shout out to him for that. I hope he's doing well. You know, I haven't really kept up with him and Joey Diaz since Joey moved to New York, and I believe I don't know how he's streaming anymore. Like I don't know how he does. I know that he's got it going on. He's got like the Joey's Joint or the Joint with Joey, something like that. And I watch it from time to time. There's just so much content out there. you know, I'm always stuck. I shouldn't say stuck, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm always listening to other podcasts that it's like, okay, like for instance, right now in the background, you can't hear it because I got it on low volume, but I could probably turn it up a little bit. But before I do that, let me finish this thought. I was like I'm listening to the Burtcast or Bill Burt podcast with Bill Burr and Burt Kreischer. And you know, and then I got like other shit that's gonna be playing after that. So it's like I just be getting caught up, like listening and watching all these other videos, and oh yeah, what is this gonna be? Cause I gotta. There we go. That's what I'm doing here. Am I off the camera? I am off the camera. Look at me. I wonder if I should zoom this camera out. I wonder if working on this piece will stand to benefit. There we go. Oh my God. They were talking about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and how she got to host the SNL show. That's hilarious. So many comedians trying to host that show. There we go. So yeah, what am I gonna be doing after I get done with this stream? Oh yeah, I'm gonna jump on my website and then update it with all the latest illustrations and concept art that I've done. Try to get as much as I can with whatever time I have left in the day. And then yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna continue. I'll continue doing some more of the prop work that I've been doing. Here we go. Oh yeah, maybe I should just... I skipped over a couple spots over here just because I wasn't sure how to do it, and now I'm like, what do I mean I don't know how I'm gonna do it? Of course I know how I'm gonna do it. It's not rocket science. We just having fun here. we go. Yeah, because I still got a ton to render out as far as this goes. I mean, this is just kind of level 2 right now. I still got like another 2 levels to go. So once I get to those colors, kind of what I'm doing with this marker is going to start to fall into the background. Right now it's like popping. But in like no time at all, this shit is going to be... Ooh, am I gonna throw this bead over? That would be gnarly. Fuck yeah. I'm going crazy. There we go. Make sure I'm on camera. Stabilize this camera. I keep hitting it. Like I said, man, it's so close. But I feel like anytime I zoom out, y'all can't see. Damn, am I gonna throw this bead over? Nah, right? This one goes behind. There we go. Hell yeah, got this man looking like tomato soup. Hell yeah. There we go. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this new scheduling system that I have, man. I'm able to actually feel a sense of accomplishment. You know, there's a description for people, and I believe most people fall under this, one of the two, where you're either a jack of uh, a jack of all trades or a master of one, you know. And I always consider myself a jack of all trades just because I got so much skill in so many things. But because I spend my time working on so many things and developing so many skills that it took away time for me to focus on just one of them. You know, it's like, just adjusting to circumstance and things like that. And that's why it's happened the way it has. And I think there's strength and weaknesses in all things. It wasn't until after I read the book, uh, the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, where he begins to talk about the way. And once the concept of the way got introduced to me, and he says, "Oh, did I not? I didn't color that in. Look at me making. I knew something was funky." Here we go. But yeah, so ever since I read the book of Mastering the Way, and the way being, you master one thing and you see that one thing in all things, um, it becomes easier to master other things because now you know what it is to master something. And it was like, there was certainly, at least in my childhood, um, and into adulthood, most of my life I got really good at something, at a certain art style, a certain illustration style, using pencils. Because that's all I had when I was a kid. We had pencils and pens, whatever was lying around the house. I would just draw with like a 2B pencil, and using whatever bum eraser was on it. And just drawing on regular printing paper. And having done that as much as I did, and I did it way more than anyone I've ever met. Not to say I've done it the most, but certainly out of everyone within my circle, I did it the most. Where I developed that skill of drawing with pencils to a degree that I was actually able to monetize on it as a kid. And to this day I still use it. I mean, that's how I'm creating what I'm working on right now. I mean, I'm using markers and drawing a certain style here, but back in the day, when I was a kid, my interest was to recreate images like verbatim. I mean, it got to the point where I was trying to like redraw dollars, like all the details that's in money, which is insane. Like you all the fine line work that's in there. Like I sharpened my eye and used sharpen my pencil in order to be able to do something like that. And I got damn good at it. So drawing in detail like that became a thing. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I was speaking with an artist on Instagram, and I was reviewing her portfolio, or her her online gallery that she has on her account. And it it was like kind of a trip down memory road of like, oh yeah, I remember back when, because here was the thing, I reviewed her portfolio, looked at her artwork, all that stuff, and whenever I look at people's accounts or portfolios or whatever, I'll go all the way back to the beginning. I kind of look at the latest stuff, and it's like, okay, cool, and then I kind of just like scroll real quick and taking everything in. But what I'm most interested in is seeing where you're at now and where were you when you started. And it was interesting to look at her account because she was all over the place in the beginning. But if you look at everything that she's posted recently, and it was all like this super duper fine pencil work that was like, it was like airbrushing and mimicking the shading and values and in a black and gray portrait, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh, okay, that's what she's doing now. And then I scrolled back, and I look, and it starts to get a little different. And then when you go down to the beginning, it's like, all right, now her artwork's all over the place, and not even in a bad way, just to say like, oh, the style shifted. But then she finally settled on something that she liked, I guess, which was, recreating that realism. And that was like a trip down memory lane because that's where I started. So when I was a kid, I was going down that direction. And it's just amazing to see the road that artists can take, because where she's at as an adult, after years and years of drawing random shit, and then she finally settled on doing this real, super hyper realistic black and gray pencil shading work. And then, myself, where I started with, pencil work until I got it to the degree of making it super realistic, super detailed. I mean, I would spend days, like days upon days on just a regular small picture, just because there was so much detail to render out. You have to layer so many colors in order to get in certain results, and it became a lot, and I was working too slow on stuff. It would take way too long to get stuff done. And then that's when my journey took me to other mediums. After I had gotten into comic books as a teenager, when I was like 16 years old, I walked into my first comic book shop. And I had already been drawing for like a decade at that point. I had already been getting paid for damn near a decade at that point. And then when I got into comic book art, it was like, oh, like you have inkers and color artists and da-da-da-da. You work with a team, and I always thought that was super cool. And I was into it, but I didn't know any inkers. I didn't know any color artists. I didn't know any other artists. So I kind of just taught myself those things once I had the opportunity to do so. And honestly, I didn't get that opportunity until years later. If I was 16 when I first got to a comic book shop and was introduced to those ideas, I want to say, because what ended up happening was I graduated when I was 17. I went to college, and then I was doing all sorts of college work, and I don't count that stuff. And it wasn't until I graduated at 21 in 2010. So, and then my computer crashed. So, I had picked up digital work. I was doing Photoshop and Illustrator after I graduated. So I had went strictly from doing pencils and being super good with pencils but not having any skills in anything else, but, you know, kind of being aware of other tools. And then obviously in college we used other tools, but like I said, I don't count those. That's all study stuff. You know, the experience is there of actually doing the work, but, you know, I just don't count it. So if my computer crashed in 2013 and I was 21 in 2010, so I would have been 24 years old. So it's almost a decade later after I'd walked into my first comic book shop that I finally got to implement the knowledge that I gained in those 8 years in between 16 years old and 24 years old. And so when, you know, I'm 32 now, so it's been 8 years since that point. So for the past 8 years, I've been taking, you know, I take a year out. You know what, let me jump back onto this man's face. I don't like how tentative it is. I'm just going to go in here full hog, right? There we go. So it's crazy to think, because I'm just now putting these thoughts together now, or putting this idea together now, like, oh shit, I've only been practicing other mediums other than pencil for the past 8 years. Like, it feels like it's been so much more than that, honestly. But the way that I went about doing it was, I said, okay, I'm good at pencils. I want to get good at inking. And my computer crashed, so I can't do digital stuff anymore. You know, I didn't have a computer anymore. So I said, okay, well, I ain't got shit else to do. So, you know, buying pens is a whole lot cheaper than having to buy a computer and an Adobe software, account. So then I got into inking, and what I told myself was, all right, you're gonna ink all year. You're gonna take this whole year and you're gonna focus on inking. And then the next year, I said, okay, now you're gonna focus on watercoloring. And it was like, okay. And, you know, so I did a year of inking. I did a year of watercolor painting. I got brush markers when watercolors, you know, were a little too soft for what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, what can I do? And then, you know, Copic markers are a thing, as expensive as they are. You know, like these Faber-Castell markers that I use, man, these shits is expensive. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, still cheaper than a computer. So then I took a year out to practice using these Faber-Castell markers, and I've been kind of brand faithful ever since then. You know, I haven't dabbled with the Copics. I wouldn't mind to. I'm open to it. It's just Copics cost so much. Like, I think Copics cost more than this. I mean, I think that's why I use these, is because, you know, I was like tallying up the price and how much bang you get for your buck. And I think the Faber-Castell costs less than Copic markers. I might be wrong. I haven't looked into it for a while. But going back to that idea that I was started talking about, as far as being a jack of all trades and a master of none, and then studying the way. Yeah, I had looked at myself as somebody who was a jack of all trades and a master of none. But then when I read the way, it was like, no, you know what? He's right. You do see similarities in life. You know, some things are obvious. You know, similarities, like hamburgers and hot dogs. They're different things, but clearly there's a similarity between them. You see what I'm saying? So just like hamburgers and hot dogs, you could see uh, similarities in those. You could begin to see similarities in all things, and how everything in this world is connected. It's connected one way or another. There may not be an immediate connection between things. You know what I mean? It may not be obvious or apparent, and you may have to break things down all the way, a few steps. It's like cousins. You have first cousins, second cousins, third cousins. You know, you know what I mean? As far as like delineates and watering down. Uh, the bloodline watering down, or the genetics watering down, but you're still related, but you're not as related as other relations that you have within the family. Things like that. Like, you may have to break certain ideas down and certain concepts down all the way to a degree that you're in order to see the connection. And then once you see the connection, and it becomes extremely clear to you to be like, oh, this is the approach I want to take. So I consider myself extremely proficient with pencils. I mean, the only reason why I don't use them as often as I do is just because they take so goddamn long. They take so long to cover ground, to cover page, and it's like, man, if I could ever afford the time, if I'm ever afforded the time to just sit there and work on something, like, look how long it takes me to work on something like this, and I got these heavy saturated inks that kind of just in one single swipe, like, get the color in that I need. Where if this were a pencil and I needed to get this solid color on top of this other color, I'd be like, like going over it 10, 15 times. And, that's 10 to 15 more, times the time that it would take for me to do it with a marker. So that's why I don't use pencils as often as possible, but that's why I save them for last. I kind of get all the color. That's why I call all this stuff the base. Some people may feel like, rendering things out with markers and then stopping right there. But, you end up with these hard edges, and nothing's blended, Like, you can kind of have a blend, but not really. And, yeah, that's why I like to do these as well as I can. And then after I get these done, then it becomes about there we go. Yeah, I'll just get this right. That's right. Those letters go over his mouth. I'm gonna have to render that area out one way or another. I'm trying to be careful not to over ink this area. I don't want to cover any areas that shouldn't be getting hit. I want to at least avoid those. There we go. There we go. Now we're getting it. Yeah, so the way that I began looking at, after I read the Book of Five Rings, was, well, you know what? I mean, if I'm able to recreate photorealism with pencils. Hey, what's up, senpai? How you doing, man? My bad, I'm rambling over here. I'm doing great. Just trying to fill the void of silence. I keep getting my YouTube videos DMC'd from you know, from music and TV shows playing in the background. So now it's like, okay, it's gonna be like volume on super low, and I'm just gonna be sitting here talking. So that way it's not like super silence whenever I make these videos. But how you doing, man? Everything good, man. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I was talking about, have you ever heard of that saying, a jack of all trades and a master of none? A jack of all trades and a master of none. How it refers to somebody who studied a lot of things and is good at a lot of things, but they never mastered one thing because, you know, they spent their time studying so many things. Yeah, you heard. Okay. So yeah, I was just talking about that concept and relaying it to. Um, oh wait, where am I at here? So here's the cheek, here's the lips, so here's the mouth. So there's like something going on here, and a little bit more stuff down there. Cool. Yes, I was just relaying that concept to the Book of Five Rings, the Way, where when you practice and study the Way, it it says that when you see the Way in one thing, or if you master one thing, then you will begin to see the Way in all things. And it kind of takes that concept of being a jack of all trades, master of none, and it's like, yo, if you master one thing, and then you go on to be a jack of all trades, like you can be a master of a lot of things, just because you can apply that concept of the Way into your studies. Like for me, for instance, it was all the art and all the art tools and everything that I do here. Actually, yeah, I think I'm down to this wing, and I was waiting to get to this wing so I could use a smaller brush. Now I just need to find the same color as this scarlet red. No, this is different. This one, deep red. No. You know, it might be a little naive of me to sit there and think, okay, this is deep scarlet red. Where's regular? I need regular scarlet red. There we go. Alright, so with this smaller brush now, I'll be able to get these finer details on these feathers. But yeah, you caught me in the middle of a ramble where I was talking about if you just master one thing. You know, you study something and you get proficient enough at it to be considered, professional, or, mastered at it, so you can just do it all day, every day, any time of the day. You get paid for it. Just be considered a master at something. And then once you study and practice the Way, and the Way being seeing the Way in all things, and starting to understand what that means, which I kind of went in depth about, a little bit ago. All of a sudden, you can find yourself getting a lot better at a lot more things, because you're practicing. You're putting your knowledge of that thing that you mastered, and putting that understanding to other practices and other studies and other, just other knowledge. And then it gets to the point where, you know, you start getting proficient at all things, or at least anything that you start putting a little bit of time into. And then, you know, hopefully it'll take less time for you to get better at all these other things. The whole reason why I got down that went down that whole journey was because I was talking about how I started off with pencils. I was super good with pencils, like to the point where like things looked like, you know, photorealistic and like airbrushed on, and people are like, "Is that airbrush?" They'd be like, "Nah, that's color pencil." It's like, oh shit. And then after my computer crashed, I had to go and do other things, and I couldn't work in pencil anymore because it was just taking too much time to work on stuff, because, you know, pencils, it takes a long time to cover a page with them. So it's like I had to get faster. So even though I was like proficient with pencils, I had to go and start inking. And then after inking, I started watercolor painting. Not good at realism. Yeah, that was my focus when I started getting into art, man. When I was a little kid, I wasn't good at realism when I was a kid, but that's when I started. Like, I wanted to, so that was my aim. That was my goal. So by the time I was like a few years in, you know, I started developing, you know, learning blending techniques and things like that. Especially by the time I got to ninth grade in high school, I was probably 13, 14 years old. I'd say that's when I had an art teacher who taught me exactly what I needed to know, and just pushed me to that next level. It's amazing when someone gives you that layup, they give you that alley-oop that gets you to that next stage. You know, like Naruto and Jiraiya. And Jiraiya just teaches Naruto what he needs. And then boom, next thing you know, homie got the Rasengan and shit. But yeah, man, I hope everything is going well with you, man. You know, the whole thing that I was talking about that got me on that whole rant. Now I'm taking my rant and working it backwards. Was I was reviewing somebody's portfolio and reviewing their artwork, and you know, she does. She had done like this super like photorealistic pencil shading. So if you think of like a black and white photograph portrait of somebody, and then you think about those artists who use like pencils, like just black and gray pencils, to create like photorealistic, you know, pencil illustrations, portraits. I was reviewing somebody's portfolio, and that's what she had. And what I like to do is I like to go all the way back. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I've been wondering if I need to pull the camera back on this piece in particular, just because it, you know, it's so zoomed in, but I feel like I need to have the camera in order for people to see it, for it to be focused. But yeah, this is just the second layer of rendering. I still got like a couple more reds that I'm gonna jump on. So I started with the orange, and now this is kind of like a tomato red color. So it's kind of like an orange red. And then after this color, the main color is going to be this red, which is just like a super red, yeah, deep scarlet. And then anything that I need further to just like shade it dark, I'm going to use this one, which is damn near, it's called magenta, but it's like damn near mahogany, especially when it's layered. Yeah, so thanks, man. You know, this is your typical devil. And since this is Heaven is the New Hell, I just did the classic angel and devil wing. So I'm working on like the angel feather wings on this side, and then I got the once I render it out more, it'll be nicer, but you can kind of see the scale texture and then the veins running through the wing here, and a little bit of like the bony anatomy to like a bat wing or something. Yeah. So yeah, I had some time to kill. So I said, you know what, let me jump on this and try to get another session in on this one. I start getting antsy after I spend so much time with these things. Where it's not that I don't enjoy them, but it's like, oh man, I really want to move on. Is this for merch as well? Yeah, this one is the third piece to the other two that I worked on. The We're All Monsters and the More Money, More Problems picture. Like those three were just a series of 3 pictures that, that's why I do them back to back. And then once I'm done with this one, I can kind of move on to the next one. And these pictures were, these whole like merch items, they're inspired by podcasts that I listen to. So I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I got a Burtcast or Bill Burt playing in the background. And right now, so I'm always listening to podcasts. So they're always like a source of inspiration for me to, do something, because they're always talking about crazy ideas. Oh yeah, see, I'm loving this. Man, yeah, so it's good to see you, man. I've been trying to do some things with the Twitch channel where it might have been you, it might have been somebody else, but they were telling me like, yo, you need a Discord, like open up a Discord, whatever. And at first I was like, nah, but then after a while I was like, you know what, let me at least look into it. And I tried starting a Discord. And I actually got one started, but for some reason I can't link it. I have my Twitch channel linked to my Discord channel, but I can't link my Discord channel to my Twitch channel. I think I'm just like an old man. I think I'm just too old to figure it out. I even reached out to Discord and I was like, yo, like I'm having a hard time trying to link this. Like I need to copy and paste my server thing over, and I found my server link and I copy and paste it, but when I do it, it's like cannot be found. I'm like, what do you mean it can't be found? It's there, it's working, I tested it out. So yeah, I was trying to set it up so that way I can get you and all the other followers, I guess. I mean, I really don't understand what it's for, but it kind of seems to be like almost like a forum where people can kind of live chat all together. And because the people that follow me, like y'all are so cool. I think it'd be cool for all of you guys to be able to talk to each other from, time to time or whatever. But again, I don't know if that's what Discord is actually used for or not. But I tried, man. I tried. I'm sure I'll figure it out sooner or later. Oh yeah, let me get that. Get that. There we go. So yeah, it's just interesting the journeys that artists take, where, and I was reviewing her portfolio. She's working on super photorealistic pencils now, but she was kind of random all over the place, years ago in the beginning. So it's interesting to see those sort of transitions that people make when it's like, oh, they found their groove and they're attacking it. And then I'm, comparing it to mine, where it was like, oh yeah, that's where I started, and now, my art's kind of all over the place because I have all these practices that I implement, and then my art just becomes like a what's the best tool to use for this for this project that I'm working on, or whatever project I'm working on at the moment. There we go. There we go. There we go. Alright. I always wanted to do realism art as well, but it's pretty hard, so I just stick with the basic anime. Hey, it's fine, man. You know, realism isn't the end all be all. It's just a different set of things, man. So yeah, find your groove and stick to it. If you enjoy the anime stuff, definitely keep doing that. Your enjoyment is going to be expressed and seen through your art when people look at it and be like, oh yeah, this person definitely enjoys that stuff. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. There we go. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I believe I can jump on to the next color now. So let's start down here. Especially now, man. That anime look is blowing up, especially in America. And honestly, anime has so many places that it can go. So you just keep at it, man. You'll develop that unique style. I used to listen to this old podcast. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called DVD ASA. And you know, it was hosted by an artist, and that artist had a friend who, you know, he wanted him to kind of get into art, and his friend wanted to get into art, so he was like, you know, you should do it. And then he finally, you know, actually did it and got into it one day, and they were talking after that, and he was just like, you know what, man, I wanted to do it, but painting noses or drawing noses or whatever is so hard. Like, he couldn't do noses. And he told him, and I'll never forget it, because I'm like, oh man, that's actually kind of smart. He told him, he goes, well, just be the artist who doesn't paint noses. He's like, who cares? Who cares if you can't do a nose? Like, who cares about noses? Like, just don't paint them then. You know, you could do 100 portraits, and you'll have 100 portraits without noses. I struggle with eyes and hands. Yeah. You know, so taking that idea is like, you know what? Don't draw eyes and don't draw hands. You know what I mean? Or at least just try it sometimes. That sounds a little silly. But you know, let's say you wanted to get better at it. Like, if I was you, I would do nothing but draw hands and eyes. You know, like, if you have a sketchbook, just take a page out and just start drawing a whole bunch of eyeballs. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of anatomy out there that you can find. You know, there's a lot to an eyeball, but there really isn't, you know. It's just a few circles at the end of the day. But yeah, you definitely want to, like, look into it to know the difference between, you know, the iris and the pupil, and then the reflections in the eye, because then all the reflections are different things too. And that's when it's like really trippy. It's like, wait, what? It's not just one reflection, and it's like, nah. So yeah, if you want to get better at drawing those things, I would definitely just say, you know, oh wait, I'm off the camera. Spend more time on them, and don't even draw the full character. You know, if anything, just draw, like, let's say you go to focus on the eye. You know, just kind of roughen the head, draw the circle, you know, the eye line and all that stuff, and then just draw the eyes on it. And then just draw a bunch of those. Get the eyes and the eye placement on the head, and dedicate a whole page to it. And then see what style works for you. You know, if you look at animes, all the animes, they all have, like, different eye styles. It's kind of cool. You know, like Full Metal Alchemist has different eyes than I don't know, Jujutsu Kaisen, which has different eyes from My Hero Academia, shit like that. There we go. And then hands is the same thing. Hands are going to be a little more difficult. You know, there's a little bit more to hands because they're I mean, how much time do I have left on here? Check my timer. Okay, I got 15 minutes. Let me see. Let me pause this for now. Take a little hiatus and pull out the pencil. What's on this page? Okay. Don't want to draw there. Okay, I'll draw on the back of this page. So yeah, hands basically, the good thing about hands is, you know, you got them right in front of you, so you can draw with one hand, and then you got this hand available, so you could always look at it and bend it and put it in positions to, you know, what's it doing, how's it look, and all that other stuff. You can like struggle. You can study right in front of your eyes. But yeah, just, I mean, I really don't know how to do a hand tutorial, but if I were just to draw my hand right now, there's a few things. They call it like the oven mitt style, where now I'm just holding it in front of me with the fingers splayed out, but you kind of just have this kind of almost squarish shape here, and honestly, you can make it anything. If you want to make it anatomically correct, you know, you're gonna have to do that. But, and then, you know, you have 4 fingers and a thumb, and you know that your 4 fingers need to fit here, and you know that your 4 fingers are all different sizes, different lengths. You know, the pinky is mad small and skinny, and then the middle finger is probably more robust, and usually the longest finger. So you have this rectangle that kind of represents the palm, and then you can use this envelope technique. You know, they call it the envelope technique because you're kind of enveloping everything before you actually get into it. So you have your index finger length here, and then pinky finger length there, and then you can kind of just draw, you know, draw like the ends here. So it looks kind of like a mitt that you can fit your hand into. Like you get a oven mitt and then you fit it in. So you have that whole thing. And then, you know, you know that the middle finger is going to be the longest, and it's going to be positioned right about here. So that's where you have your outermost point, and then you bring it back to your index finger length, which is, again, normally shorter. And then you just, you know, you could draw your fingers in. Now this is pretty basic. But yeah. And now you have 4 fingers. Let me darken this up a little bit. And this is all still just like squares and rectangles, so it's still all pretty simple. But, you know, and I'm just drawing my hand splayed out like this right next to it, almost like a turkey when you're in high school. And then the thumb always has like, thumbs are always difficult. I remember even when we were modeling 3D models in class that it was a little bit harder to model this part because, you know, it has so much fold and bend to it. It like squashes and stretches enough so you can model it like this usually when your models are in a T pose, but then when that model goes to grab something, like all that skin folds in on itself. So it's a really complex anatomical area where it's webbing. Technically, you have this big old web in between your thumb and your index finger. So if your rectangle or your square here kind of represents your index finger and the bone and the knuckle that goes with it, you have this triangle piece that kind of sticks out here. So that's kind of what you want to draw, is something like a triangle. And like I said, use your own hand so that way you kind of see the angles on it. And you see that like a web, it connects from the knuckle or from the base, and it kind of shoots out, and then it connects to the wrist. So you just draw that triangle there. And now this is serving as like the bone and the knuckle for your thumb. And then you just kind of draw your thumb. You know, you'll either get it or you won't on your first try. but you know, you just draw something like a kind of thumb shaped. You'll figure it out. Eventually, you draw it enough times, and then from that point, you know, your knuckles are kind of inset in on the hand, and they kind of follow the flow of the square that you started with. And then depending on the angle that your hand is on, that you're drawing it from, because you could be drawing a hand from like this angle as opposed to this angle, and the way that the way that it overlaps is going to be different. And that overlap, I think, is where people struggle the most. It was when I was studying tattoo art, and I saw this technique that a tattoo artist used to make like scales and shit like that, and even the feathers, like the feathers that I was just using the markers on in the other picture. That whole technique that I used for those, I saw someone use it on fingers, and I was like, holy shit, like no way. And then I'll never unsee it. Where so you have your hand, you drew your triangle, you got your thumb in there. Now you have your placements for your knuckles, and you know, this one's a little bit off. Whatever. It's all loosey-goosey here. Now, and you know, some people will tell you, you know, you can, since your fingers are divided into three, you have this line here that's at the end, and then you have this line here that's at the end of the mitt, and then you got to draw like two lines in between them, kind of cutting it into thirds, and then those can serve as your knuckle points. And then obviously you have you know, fingernails at the end, so you draw those in. So you start to see a hand formulate, but this overlap thing is what I think a lot of people have a hard time with. And the reason why that is because of this kind of minor webbing that goes on in between these fingers. Just like this is one big old piece of web, you have like little tiny webs in here, because this is a three-dimensional thing. Your hand isn't flat. Even when I point it at you, there's like space here. And I think this is the part that a lot of people struggle with, is understanding that, and when like they're drawing their hand and how it flows, and when it's doing things. So drawing a hand, you know, simply from this angle, here's the overlap technique. So you have your finger, you go over the knuckles, and then you go to the big knuckle here, and then that's overlapping down here, and you have your webbing picking up from here, and then it's going out there. So this is kind of like the crucial moment, this right here. And then you just rinse and repeat that whole thing, you know, and then you wrap that around that knuckle. And then where do you pick up the next finger? But right here. And again, it's coming in because it's connected over, and it's almost like webbing, you know. And I'll show you in a minute. Let me just finish this out, and then I'll show you. So you have that knuckle, and then same thing with the pinky. The pinky's going out there, and it's all tiny and skinny and small and frail. And then, you know, the pinky, maybe it's hitting the knuckle, maybe it isn't, but it's touching the outside of the hand. So I'll just go to the outside of the hand, not necessarily like, you know, I'll probably put in a little piece of knuckle there. And then same thing with these. Just give them a little bit of a... So you start drawing a hand, and it starts to look a little more and more like a hand now. And what I mean by webbing is, like, let's say this was a fish person now, all of a sudden, where we know, you know, well, obviously it's make-believe, but, you know, you get the fish webbing in there. Now all of a sudden, you know, you draw that webbing. And then this helps them catch the water while they're swimming and stuff like that. But just like this webbing concept, it's that's what's going on down here. It's just so small because there's not much space down there, you know, in order for the webbing to happen. But it's the same concept as if you were doing webbing here. There's just a whole lot more to it. And then, I mean, that's kind of a basic tutorial for drawing a hand. But yeah, that was just me holding it like that. But you might want to like make a fist and then see how that goes. But it does the same thing. You know what I mean? You could take the same steps where you start with a square, because that square is still there, you know, the 4 points. And then that triangle is still there. It's just a little more squished in. It's not as big and pronounced as it and stretched out as it is here, you know. And then your thumb is still extending from it, and then your hands and fingers are still extending from it, but they're just kind of folded back there. And, you know, perspective and all that other stuff comes into play there. But then the idea of the webbing is still there. You know, you have your finger here and it's coming here, but this finger is kind of technically like way back there. You're only seeing the top surface of it. You can't even see the side of it, because the side of it's going, you know, it's behind this finger here. So that whole webbing concept is still there, and your knuckles are still in place. So yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. I mean, I know it was kind of stupid and dumb and rushed and wasn't planned out, but you know, you start with this square, and then you draw the mitt to kind of get the finger lengths where they're at, and that's always going to change because your fingers are going to be placed differently, but it's still the same concept. Like, let's say, you know, you were going to draw like something weird like this where your 3 fingers over here, but then your index finger is pointing way over there. You know, you still have your square here, and you're drawing your mitt, but you have this weird finger pointing thing action going on. So you would still draw the mitt out like that, and it goes out to the middle finger because it's still touching. And then your pointer finger, see, it's still jumping off from this corner of the square down here. You would just point it out that way. And you see how the tip of it doesn't go past the middle finger? So I don't go past the middle finger point out here. And now again, just draw that, and then how does it look? Yeah, basically draw the other 2 so you can get the knuckle system going here, and then still have and then yeah. So you still have that going on there, and then you just chop this finger into thirds, and then you get your fingernail in there, and then your other fingernails are over here, and then you got a funky angle. But it's the same concept, the same steps. Hey, you're welcome, man. I mean, I'm not you know, I'm not super good at it, but at least the lucky thing with hands is that, you know, you could always, as long as you have 2 of them. I hope you do. I hope I'm not I didn't just like out you for being a one-handed or no-handed person. But you know, if you have 2 of them and you're using one to draw with, you always got your other one that you can use as a reference. And then, you know, if you're right-handed, you're going to get hella good at drawing left hands, but hopefully you could take these concepts and apply them to you know, to the right hand, and then you just get good at them. And yeah, I mean, it's super technical. There's a lot going on, you know, all the joints and everything. You know, like let me try one of like the palm side, you know. So I'll do one with this kind of like dragon or kind of tiger paw kind of angle. So all right, camera's on it, good. So you have same concept. I'm going to start with the square of the inside of the palm. And, you know, this is where the wrist is going to connect. So it kind of rotates out like that. Here's that wrist bone that pops out. At least on my hand it pops out. You know, I've seen other people's hands that are a little more patty than I am. And again, pinky's going to be here. Index finger is going to be there. Oh, are we not focused? Hold on, let me do this. There we go, focused. So index finger there, pinky here, and we're going to draw the oven mitt, but obviously the oven mitt's not going to shoot out like this anymore because our fingers are bent in. So you can draw the tip of your fingers. So the tip of the oven mitt is technically down here now, where the pinky is shooting past where it started, and the index finger, well, on the camera angle, it looks different from where my eyesight is, but the tip of my index finger is actually above the pad here, but on the camera it looks like it's directly above just because it's on a different angle. But for me, this is kind of what I'm saying. So the pinky's down here below the square, and then the index is above it. And then, so you draw that line, and that's where your fingers end. You still have 4 of them, so you just divide that into 4, where the base is. And then you draw the middle, you know, the outermost part of your oven mitt, which will be these 3 fingers. They'll come out a little bit more. The pinky small, the ring finger is middle, and then your middle finger is going to be the largest output, because those 3 fingers are, for some reason, they always kind of act in unison, while the index finger is kind of on its own terms, and then the index finger is again shorter. And now you just, you know, fill in the blank. Even if you want to get your closest knuckle to it. So now you have that, you have that. So now your pinky finger, and then your ring finger, and middle finger, and they're a little fatter because they're all compressed, you know, because they're all squeezed in on each other. Well, yeah, that's kind of the oven mitt style, and that's the one I always kind of like to go to, just because it gives me a rough to kind of draw in things. And then I guess for the thumb, same concept, man. You have your wrist is down here, your index finger's here. You connect those, and that's kind of where your that bone is for your index finger, runs along there. And then you have the webbing piece. So you're gonna want to draw that triangle. And so that's what this is here. Get that triangle piece. And then the thumb, you kind of just draw the thumb there, and the thumb is kind of folding over that webbing. And then, yeah, man, then you just get your regular hand creases, all those things that the palm readers understand what all this stuff means. But yeah, I mean, this one's kind of sloppy, but I'm just kind of rushing through it. But you can see how all of a sudden, oh yeah, how taking that that little oven mitt style concept and then applying it there. Oh, thanks, man. About the weapons. Oh, yeah, so that's it for the hand stuff. I mean, I should probably get better at actually trying to show people on a dime how to do that sort of thing, but hopefully it helps. It's called like an envelope style. But yeah, these weapons, they're all art. So this is stuff that I'm actually going to be doing tonight when I'm going to I should probably work on these more, but I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. But some of the work that I've done, like these are all like weapons and props for all the stuff that goes on in here for the, you know, the society and the city and the townspeople that all live in here, in these areas. Yeah, look at me knocking. But yeah, so I think tomorrow morning I'll probably jump on and hopefully finish these things. Like I said, I always get antsy and want to move on. So I'll definitely focus all day tomorrow on finishing this up and then starting the next round of props, which is just going to be like simple, like little simple things, tables, pots, you know, boring stuff that nobody likes, but you know, it looks good on in a portfolio to be able to develop those things. So yeah, little bows and quivers, and then handles. All these handles can be applied to these things, and all I did was take like the samurai sword aesthetic and how you piece together a samurai sword, because I love those things, and then apply those tools to putting these things together. And then yeah, there's like two different cultures, one that's a little more rough around the edges, and then one that like shoots for a little bit more elegance and style, but then they both, like, these are still rough, like they both have you know, kind of upper class and lower class styles of their weapons. But yeah, thanks, man. You know, once I get to the characters and then I start drawing these characters wearing clothing in the environments maybe, and you know, holding weapons or something, you know, hopefully all this stuff when it comes together starts to make more sense, and then people can see like, oh, this is all the work that goes behind creating a video game, or creating a show, or creating, you know, any piece of media. This is all that background art that people never really get to see, and it barely comes up on it barely comes up in like art books and stuff too. You'll be lucky, you know, to find something like that. All right, let me continue this timer. I think I only got like 15 minutes left on this. And yeah. There we go. So yeah, it's only 15 minutes. I kind of want to at least end on in a good place where I could pick it up next time. There we go. But yeah, that means a lot to me that that you like those weapons, because honestly, I've always focused on characters, but characters are like the hardest thing to get a job in, because you know, so many people want to work on them, so the competition is stiff for getting like character work jobs. So I said, you know what, let me try to work on get some environments and some props under my belt to add to my portfolio, so at least that way I could, you know, get my foot in the door and do some concept design jobs. So yeah, as long as those look good, as long as you love them, then I'm sure there's a company out there that'll like them as well. So thank you, man. But yeah, I can't wait to get to the characters. You know, they since they're in the ice cold, they wear a lot of layers. Well, some of them do. Some, I got a species that lives out there that, you can kind of imagine if like a polar bear and a person, a mix between a polar bear and a person, and how that sort of species may not need as much clothes as people do to live in that sort of, temperature or environment. So once I draw some of those characters, man, I can't wait for y'all to see them, because then that's really gonna really break up the kind of the cultures that live down there. Which reminds me, I haven't even worked on the any like close-ups of the environment of the kind of the natives to that land. Back on the map, it was that kind of the igloo looking stuff. I'm gonna do some close-ups of those, and of that town. It's gonna look super dope because it's like made out of like whale bones. Imagine like tents and teepees, but instead of made out of like sticks and twigs, it's made out of like whale bones and shark skin, and yeah, like shit like that. They use like super duper heavy weapons. Oh yeah, that's the wing, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's what I need to do. I forgot about the wing that's down here. There we go. Get some of that feather stuff in there. What's happening here? Have I ever worked for a company? Like a video game company or anything like that? No. I did do, like a long time ago, I did some character animations for a fighting game. I don't think it ever got made, though. And we're talking a long time ago. It's in one of my old sketchbooks. I did some character, like, keyframes for like a wrestler type character in a fighting game. We were like a small team, really low budget, and that's about the only work that I've done as far as like video games or movies or anything like that. I thought about putting that work up onto my website. It's just so old. So it's like I don't know how well received it'd be to like actually highlight it to professionals. But yeah, it was cool to do that. Get you know, the regular, just neutral stance of the character, and then, you know, do like light punch, light kick, heavy punch, heavy kick. And because he was a wrestler type, he had like grapples and slams and things like that. So I'd have to draw like a dummy mannequin for some of his movesets to be like, this is where the other character would go, or this would be the position that the other character that he's facing would be in when he hits him with this sort of body slam move. And then he had I think he had like a big old battle axe too that he used. But yeah, it was yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, it was a small company, Gideon Games. I don't even know if they're around anymore, honestly. But yeah, old times. Yeah, so that's what's happening. You know what? I need to be hitting this with a whole lot more ink. That's for sure. I think I was a little too shy with the last marker. At least when on this wing. Yeah, maybe next time I can draw some eyeball stuff for you. But again, there's really not much to it. I would say just find somebody who draws eyes like how you like them, and then just draw their eyes a lot. And then, you know, sooner or later you'll see like what they're doing and what it is that you like about them. And once you're able to recreate it on, you know, without looking at it, then you'll start creating them without looking at it, and then over time you'll start moving or creating eyes or drawing eyes in a direction that's more your own and less of theirs. And then you'll have developed your own kind of eyeball style. Because again, there's so many different types. I mean, just look at any one of those drawings. I don't know if you've seen them, of anytime an artist posts like, oh, I just drew this character in, you know, 12 different anime styles. I saw one recently of somebody drawing Levi in all sorts of different styles, and then it'll be like 12 different animes. It's like, here's the Attack on Titan version, but here's what he would look like in the Dragon Ball Z world, or this is what he would look like in, Cowboy Bebop, or this is what he'll look like in Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that. You know, you look at those and look at the eyeballs. It's the same character drawn over and over and over, and I'm sure you'll see all the eyes look different. And right then and there, that'll tell you, like, oh, there's a bunch of ways to draw eyes. As well as hair and everything else. But so there's some that are like simple, and then there's some that are like super high tech. I was watching the latest episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I forget his name, but the guy who wears the headband over his eyes so you can't see him, he's like the super strong dude. He's a super dope character. He's like the cool guy. And whenever he takes his headband off, you can see his eyes, and his eyes kind of like glisten. Super, super crazy. Like that guy, and then you look at his eyes, and it's like, yo, you got to put a whole artist, like there's a whole artist or maybe even a team that just work on his eyes alone, in order to get that final product in the animation like that. And then you got other characters who their eyes are just, a black dot. Thinking of like Saitama in One Punch Man, when he has that that face. You know what face I'm talking about. When he has that face, and his eyes is just a couple of dots. You know what I mean? So, personally, recently, because I only got up like 30 seconds here before before I got to jump back on and do some stuff. Recently, the direction that I've been taking with eyes, and I'll even show you with this guy here. Yeah, let's stop this. I guess I'll call it a night now. I mean, at least for this stream. But lately, and I'll show you in some other pictures too, and I've just been using it, but the eyes that I've been working on lately, I looked up, what's his name? A certain artist. No, that's not it. Where is he? I want to find one of his art books that I have here somewhere. Oh well, I'll just have to grab one of these then. I can't find the official art book that I have of his. It's buried in the books somewhere around here. But there's this guy. Yoshitaka, something like that. I forget. I forget his name. But he did a whole lot of the early let me see if I could find a better one. I have one of his art books. Let me find it. Because now this is getting annoying. There we go. Here's one of the books. Here's a small one, so that way I could fit it onto the stream. Yoshitaka Amano. He's done, he's worked on a bunch of stuff. I think this is for Vampire Hunter D. And, I've been looking at a lot of his work lately. Oh, come on, let's focus. Focus. And he has a lot of creepy stuff, but what I like about his work, and what I've noticed after looking at a whole bunch of his stuff, I think I've seen all of his Final Fantasy stuff, and I buy a whole bunch of art books, and then I just kind of study artists whenever I feel the need to. And then I was thinking about this guy, and I was like, what makes his pictures so striking? And obviously it's all beautiful and it's all rendered great, and all that other stuff, but there's something that I noticed about his work, and then once I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it until I started not seeing it in some of his other works, and it was kind of like a breath of fresh air to know, like, okay, I'm not completely right, but I'm kind of right on most of his work. Where if you look at his illustrations, and he has like hundreds, millions, thousands of them, and you look at the characters, their eyes are always, well, not always, but almost always looking directly at you. No matter what the pose is, no matter where they're at, no matter what they're doing, most of the time they're looking directly at you. And another thing that I noticed about when he does his eyes is the pupil, the iris, whatever you want to call it, the actual eye itself almost never touches the bottom. Just like this character, how it never touches the bottom eyelashes. Let me pull up another picture so you can see, looking directly at you, so that way you look at him. And same thing, this character is looking down, but again, looking directly at you. This is a small book with small renderings, but I was looking at his eyeballs or his eye renderings, and they're, you see, looking directly at you, and they don't touch the bottom eyelashes. They always touch the top, almost like they're rolling their eyes at you. It'd be like, yes, it's me. They're all like upper class and fancy. You know what I'm saying? And they're so piercing. And I was looking at that, and I was just like, I like that. You know, again, look at this. This is whatever series it is. The from Tatsunoko, the Falcon guys, Eagle and Condor. You know, they have the Swan Girl too. But either way, again, looking directly at you. I think he's even like side-eyeing you and not touching the bottom eyelashes, so that way you can see the bottom of the eye. So it's so piercing. And that's the kind of look that you have when you have your chin tilted downwards, and you're kind of staring forward, almost like a predator, you know. But yeah, I was looking at his work, and you know, it's all beautiful, it's all great. And then I saw that about the eye, and then I ran that theory, and I started looking at it, and I was like, yep, you damn right. Again, right here, not looking at you, but kind of staring up blissfully. I'm guessing there's like a chick here who's probably holding this sword with roses to him or something like that. Like, who knows what's happening, man. This is fucking beautiful, though. And again, eye does not touch the bottom eyelashes. So this is kind of the direction that I've taken my eyes a little bit. So I kind of practice that more, where I used to kind of not center it. I would still have the eyeball a little bit higher than centered onto the open space. But ever since I saw this, I was like, you know what? Let me practice it. Let me start it, because I like the piercing look. I like the piercing gaze that it has, and the power behind it. And since this is supposed to be kind of like a powerful figure in this piece, you know, it's like the devil. I wanted to give him that same piercing eye thing. So I don't know if it's going to be touching the bottom eye once I'm done with it or not. But you can see I was even trying to like pull up from touching the bottom. And I'm trying to break that habit of mine. Even when I work on these things, I don't know, I use references for these, so maybe these won't be the best representation for it. And this picture I did just because he's supposed to be like kind of staring off into nothingness. You can see his eyes are like glazed over, and he's just like wailing, like so miserable. But I did it on this piece here, where, you know, you can see how like the eyes are piercing, and kind of like they're looking into your soul almost. And yeah, that's all just from looking at Yoshitaka Amano's work, and being like, okay, you know, I want people, when they look at my characters and my figures, or I want them to feel like they're looking back at them, like this is actually living and looking back at them, and being like, you know, kind of unsettling, like Amano's work. So that's been the latest that I've done with like eye development and things like that. But you know, there's levels to it. And like I said, if you're into anime, so you just go and check them out. Especially check out artists who do that rendering of like, oh, this is the one character in 12 different anime styles. Try finding those. I don't know what they're called. But, you know, it's a cool series that artists have been doing for the last few years, so I'm sure there's a ton of work out there for it. And you can see a whole bunch of different eyeball styles. And like I said, look at your favorite artist or your favorite anime. And I guarantee when you're looking at those characters, you're probably looking at their eyes, because that's where most people look when they look at humanoid things. You probably will like the eyeballs on your favorite shows and things like that. So go check them out and see what style they work in, and find out who the artist is, and then look at that artist's work and see how they draw them. And then just redraw those eyeballs all day, every day. You know, can't stop, won't stop. And then, you know, hopefully you'll start to grasp and gather what it is that you like about drawing eyes. And like I said, once you start doing that and you start doing it yourself, without looking at references and things like that, then you'll develop your own thing. You know, I've done it so many times. I've stolen from so many artists. I've taken so many ideas that other people probably worked super hard on, and kind of just take them and run with it. And then I develop it into my own thing. And just like, you know, this work doesn't look anything like Yoshitaka Amano. Like, no one's going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, Yoshitaka Amano style. But if anything, hopefully this person, this monster, looks like it's like staring into your soul, almost like making you uncomfortable. And that's kind of what I was going for. I mean, this is called We're All Monsters. so you know, I want him to be something monstrous, like a predator that's going to eat your ass. And just like this guy's work, look at him, he's side-eyeing you hardcore, and the bottom of his eye isn't touching there, so it's almost like, you know, again, it's that uneasy predatory stare that's like, holy shit. And it's striking, and it makes you look at him. You know, you always go back to that dot. You look at everything else, you see the hair flowing off, you know what I mean? But everything leads you back to the eye. And that goes with everything with this man's work. You know, even jumping to the back of the page. Look at that. Small eyes all the way to top, looking directly at you. Predatory. Eyeball doesn't touch the bottom eyelashes. Same thing with this book cover here. You know what I mean? After I saw that, I mean, look at that. It's Vampire Hunter D, I believe. Yeah, see? So, and this is what I mean when you research artists and you do that, like, do it for yourself, because, you know, maybe you're not into Yoshitaka Amano, or you're not just familiar with him, maybe, who knows, or that's not what you think the direction that you want to go with. But, you know, there is an artist out there who does make eyes the way that you like them, and I would say definitely look up their work and see how they do it, and then eventually you'll reinterpret it on your own. And the more you do it, the more you'll do it everything else. You'll do it with hands, with faces, with you know, body types. And then the more you do that, the more the faster you'll be able to grow and develop your own style, man. Yeah, hopefully that helps you. You know, I'm not afraid to tell you that I straight up take, you know, rip off the other successful artists, but it's not like I rip off their style. Notice I didn't draw his eyes like super like slanted with sharp edges or anything like that. Like, you know, you take the style, but you don't. You take the idea behind it and you turn it and you make it your own. That would be the end goal. But in the meantime, just physically actually do the work and you know, dedicate a page to eyeballs. You know, And then, yeah, exactly. It's called learning. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, that's so I was trying to go for that a little bit here, and yeah, I would say I'd say do that, and you'd be well on your way to making super dope eyeballs and super dope hands and all that stuff, man. But either way, I'm gonna stop this stream. Thank you, Senpai, for stopping by and keeping me company and entertained while I work on this stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to render all this stuff out some more. I'm probably even gonna push this to get a little bit darker, so I'm probably gonna like redo add a little bit more markers to them. And then I'm super happy with how these came out. But yeah, I'm GMrDrew, man. GMrDrew on all socials. Follow, like, and subscribe me everywhere. GMrDrew.art, my website. You can find everything that I'm working on there. That's actually what I'm about to go do, is jump back onto the website and update it a little bit more with some more stuff. That's why I'm cutting off this stream. So go there and check out the website. And then, yeah, man. Y'all have a good night. Shout out to Senpai, man. Good night, man.